Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Thursday, special Thursday show, December 29th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy, folks.
Hello, gentlemen.
And today we got
That is your real name.
Telephone Pete for the beginning of the show.
Yes, I am
Telephone
driving home.
Telephone Pete.
Telephone Pete.
I don't have
Telephone
I don't know. I don't think the mood lighting is as good in the car as it is.
It's a little creepy.
It's actually very creepy, but it's cool creepy because all you see is like this light here and there, and every so often you get a quick glimpse of your face, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm coming into a part of the road where I should pass a lot of cars, so you might be able to see a little bit more. I'm not sure that's a good thing.
I was going to say, is that good or bad? Is that?
Yeah. It's bad.
All right. So our last show of 2022, gents.
All right, and that's it. We said we're only going to do this till the end of 2022. So
I believe the 31st of December 2022 is the date we set for either superstardom or bust.
That's right.
Right. But our contract did get renewed for another year. So,
well,
son of a bitch.
We
freaking beer company.
Our manager
don't think no better than to throw their money away on a show like this.
Who the hell knows? I don't know.
Has my salary gone up from $0 to $10 this year, or what?
It's going up to $20 next year. As a matter of fact. $20 a year.
That's like $1 an episode. 50 cents an episode.
About 50 cents an episode.
Yeah. That doesn't seem
well.
right.
That's more than I was making in the other podcast I was on.
This is true.
Yeah, but
this is true.
I mean, you charge $100 an hour on OnlyFans. So.
Well, you know that
he makes his money elsewhere. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I'm still here. If it wasn't for OnlyFans, I'd be long gone.
Yeah, I don't have quite the alternative income.
Well, I mean, how's Log doing? I mean, you're recording a new album. That's why.
Exactly. So we're in debt. Poor.
Yeah, right.
I'm in a band.
Already, and
I'm in a band, so I have no money.
Yeah. Hey, here's something good that I learned. I have you can't see it. I have a fancy earpiece in here that I use for when I'm working.
You can have a fancy butt plug in right now. No one would know.
No, exactly.
Yeah, but when they make one with Bluetooth, I'm going to get one.
Oh, they have it. Oh, they have it.
You should get them as a sponsor on your OnlyFans.
That's right. Oh, they got it.
So I had gotten a couple of them because I wanted to try out a couple of different ones. I didn't know. And they're pretty cheap. They're like $15, $16, $18. I mean, they have like $250 ones too, but I'm certainly not going to get one of those. So I got a couple of them, and the one that I'm using is pretty good and lasts a long time. The other one I bought I didn't realize at the time, but it's pretty much exactly the same. It is exactly the same thing, just with a different name on it. You know, not made here in this country, made in China, I'm assuming.
Right.
And just a different, made for a different company. I didn't realize that at the time. So I opened it up. I didn't test it out or anything. I'm like, oh, this is the same unit. So I put it back in the box and get on the Amazon, and I'm like, okay, I want to return this. And, usually you get a label and you got to pack the thing up and tape the label and then you put it on. Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, all right, you've been refunded. You don't have to send it back.
Mm-hmm. They would rather not even have to worry about or bother.
They're like, we don't want your piece of shit $17 Bluetooth earpiece back. It's not worth it for us to take it back. So
think about all the fuel it would take to return the $17.
Yeah, exactly. So they're
and furthermore, it's worth about $2. So it's going to cost them more. It's going to cost them more to take it back and throw it away than it would to just keep it.
Like we've already shipped it. Right. We're probably a minimum profit on this item, as it were. Right. Taking it back, we're going to go into the red. So I'm going to start testing this out with other less than $20 items and see how many things I can get for
So you're
free.
basically just going to fill the landfills in Long Island with a bunch of Chinese crap.
Well,
No, I'm gonna probably give them away.
So somebody else will fill them.
Somebody else will fill away.
No, I'll give it to someone who needs it.
There you go.
But or I'll give it to that. When you stop at the red light, the intersection, and the people have a sign, they come over and they're like, "Oh, I'm homeless and I have kids to feed or whatever."
Give them a Bluetooth headset.
I'll give them a Bluetooth headset.
Exactly.
I'll be like, "Here you go. This is worth $17 on Amazon. Go and sell it. You can probably get 12." And that's more than I would ever. Well, that's not true. I have a couple of change I keep in my car.
What
put all my spare change into it.
What would they hook their $17 Bluetooth headset up to?
No, I'm saying they could just go and sell it.
Their shopping cart.
They could sell it on the. They could sell it on the market. The Facebook marketplace. Because they have access to Facebook, right? So.
Well, sure. They have phones.
Well, they could just sell it to somebody.
Marketplace. You sound like a 65-year-old.
I was trying to.
on the Facebook.
I put it on the Facebook Marketplace, and somebody actually came and gave me $5.
That goes. I just put it up there. It goes in a bin.
My daughter helped me upload the photos, and I sold the wicked dresser on Facebook Marketplace.
I could tell you stories about things that get purchased on Facebook Marketplace because I see it every day. I don't do it myself. But...
Well, you live with a junk collector.
Exactly. So she's
a
connoisseur, not collector, connoisseur.
I used to get sucked into that for like old stereo equipment.
Right.
Because they'd list, like, oh, I got all these old receivers. And I was like, hey, that's the same old Marantz that I used to have. And the price would be like $0 to $100.
Mm-hmm.
And
somebody just wants to take it.
Well, yeah, there's like not in working condition, which is not what I was looking for.
Well, no,
or every one but the one I wanted was like $10, and the one I wanted was $100. I'm like, well, I'm not paying $100 for a 40-year-old receiver just for nostalgia.
I mean, it depends on what it is. If it's a Macintosh, I'll gladly pay $100 for.
Well, sure, but it's never a Macintosh.
No.
Anyway, so go on Amazon, get your $17 Bluetooth earpiece, and then return it and keep it.
And there you have it.
Put fucking Bezos right out of business.
Right out of business. Anyway, so on that note, well, that's some shopping tips for you.
Post Christmas shopping tips.
Christmas shopping tips from Get On With It.
From a dark car somewhere on the Long Island Expressway.
You're off to Northern State now, right?
Yeah, I'm like 2 minutes from home.
2 minutes from home. But you should have went to Beer Cheese and gotten a nice sandwich.
Oh, that would have taken too long.
Well, in case you couldn't tell, this is a podcast about sports.
Anyway, all right. Well, speaking of sports, why don't we? Why don't we speak of sports?
Let's get on with it.
Let's get going. All right. Let's kick it off. There's hot stove baseball has cooled down a little bit, but I have one question for both of you gents. Is the deal for the Mets deal with Carlos Correa actually going to happen? Or do you think that's going to kind of fall by the way?
Seems like it. I don't think they would have announced it in the manner that it was announced if it wasn't at least something's up with him, and who knows what the hell it is. I don't think it's
they're all talking about this injury that happened to him 8 or 9 years ago. I mean, when he was in the minors, I think he's had a pretty damn good career since. So
he's had a couple of years.
Are they worried about it now? It's like. Whatever they did then, the surgical repair they did.
The warranty is
expiring. Right, exactly. So,
how old is he?
28, 29, 28, 29.
I'm not really in the age where we'll fix it. It'll be fine for 6 or 8 years, and then it's going to start to bother you.
No,
not really. Not that old.
So based on the contract, you'll only have to deal with it as Mets fans for 12 years.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes you kind of want. Like, here's the thing. okay, is there something actually wrong with him? A. B. Did he just decide he didn't actually want to be in San Francisco anyway, and this is their way of covering it? Or C, is it not injury related, and we're going to find out somewhere that sometime soon that he's like wanted to have sex with his masseuses, like what's his name? Like Deshaun Watson. Like, is there some sort of other thing that's not an injury, but it's something that we're going to find out about? Is that what held things up?
From what I've heard, obviously it's injury related, and it had to do with something with his leg or his ankle back in 2014 when he was in the minors, and it's something about there might even be like a metal plate in there or something like that. But obviously he was already with Houston at the time, so they knew about it. But whatever, they had him. It was a cheap contract. Obviously, he was a rookie. He was on that deal, so whatever, right? So now he's talking. Now they're talking a ton of money, and this is still an issue. But I don't know how much of an issue it could possibly be. I think what's going to come down to is Cohen's going to get insurance on on him, much like he has on a lot of contracts, right? So if he's paying some money per year on an insurance policy, and he can get back 70% of Carlos Correa's salary for any part of any season that he doesn't play, I don't see what the difference is, and I think it's going to get done. I don't see it. If Cohen didn't want to get it done, he would have walked away from it already.
I think if there's any person in baseball who will roll the dice on an injury and pay somebody the amount of money that is going to be played, it's going to be Cohen.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't think it's too big of an issue. There was a report. John Heyman actually wrote a report, article about half an hour ago, maybe 40 minutes ago. Why Carlos Correa's Mets deal should eventually get done.
You mean in the New York Post, the Post article?
Post article, yeah.
That article had about as much information.
Oh no, as I just told you.
To me, as the size. You actually elaborated on more that was not in that article, because he doesn't mention anything about the details of the injury or anything else other than it should get done.
Right.
Because it was just fodder for people to click on. The Post also 2 days ago said that that's a Carlos Correa mum on the status of negotiations. So who the hell knows? The Daily News says it's on hold due to physical. That was only 6 hours ago. And it sounds like the big thing is Correa is not willing to restructure the contract amid concerns over the physical. So I think the Giants were actually onto something. I think the Giants probably wanted to restructure something based on whatever it is that's coming up in this physical. And it sounds like the Mets had similar concerns, and it's his right leg, which he had surgery on a few years back, which he missed some time. And there's something obviously being shown there that is probably has to do with the strength in that leg. And that was major surgery. He did miss some time. Right. He did come back and obviously had one of his better years since the surgery.
Sure.
But it sounds like that was indeed why, the Giants backed out of it and why the Mets jumped on it.
I agree 100%. And I think you're right, though. I think if anybody's going to let the money go based on that, just for the desire to have him on the team, it's going to be Cohen. And I think as long as there's some insurance involved in it and that he can get that done, it's not going to matter. He's not going to have to restructure the deal. It'll get done the way it was, and everybody will be hunky dory.
Here's my take on the whole concern with the injuries. I understand this is a ton of money for one of supposedly the top shortstops in baseball. You obviously don't want him having sort of a failure or a repeat of an injury that happened recently. That's going to but what is the difference between that and either somebody who you sign for big money who just shits the bed and doesn't perform, or gets injured in the course of
a new injury, something new
injury.
Or whatever. Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, at least that injury was addressed, right? He's already had surgery for it.
I don't think he was hiding anything. I don't think the Twins were hiding anything. It wasn't like there was any major injury reported. It sounds like this is just in reviewing the status of his surgery, of his repaired right leg, that there's some concerns.
Right.
And for two teams to have this and for it to come up in two separate physicals, it must be something that at least, look, the Giants were desperate to get anybody. They're in the position where they want either that ace in their bullpen or somebody to fill major holes in that lineup. I don't think they would have bailed on Correa if there wasn't a serious concern there. Right. So we'll see. I don't think the Mets should. If it's something where 2, 3, 4 doctors are telling the Mets, "Hey, look, there's some issues here. There's some issues here and things that we see as concerning." If it's a matter of, hey, we think he might need surgery again in a couple of years, or we just don't know the durability and of where this is going to hold up. You got to know where you're at. You got to know if you got a guy who's going to be able to play probably the toughest position other than catcher when it comes to wear and tear on your body as shortstop.
Well, he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing third base. And
you know what I mean. He's going to be playing. He's going to be playing third base as long as there's no injury to Lindor. Which, if there is, then you're also
playing shortstop.
You're paying to have a shortstop who can easily move over.
Right.
That's so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing. So we'll see. I don't think you're going to see anything get done before the end of the year. I think you'll see. I think it's
next Monday, Tuesday next week. We'll wrap it up, so to speak, and put it to bed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Any other so to speaks you want to throw in there? But in any event, I agree. Pete, I think, is about to log on as Radio Pete, not just Telephone Pete. But now here's my question. I'll ask you, Harry, while he's still not completely on yet as Radio Pete. Now when he's on as Telephone Pete, he's as Telephone Pete because he's on his telephone, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when he logs on as Radio Pete, is he on his radio?
No, but I think he's trying to be clever.
So he just didn't want to be Computer Pete or
laptop. Radio Pete is giving away both, his status in life as well as his age.
There you go.
If he was Podcast Pete. That's my point exactly. Then he wouldn't have to worry because whether he was on a computer or now we got Telephone Pete and Radio Pete.
Yeah, we're gonna say bye to Telephone Pete. There you go. All right. Hi, Radio Pete. How are you?
Good. Everything is right with the world.
Everything's right with the world. You're back in the saddle, so to speak.
Yes.
You have arrived home safely.
I am home. And just a quick recap: no one brought in the mail, but they did unlock the door for me.
Well, that was very nice.
So
so
I'll take what I can get.
There you go.
Which is
always a good thing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's pretty much it for baseball. I don't think we have to discuss anything further.
I think that's way too much baseball.
I think it's
baseball season.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's be honest. The most exciting part of baseball season is the preseason. The off season.
Most exciting part of baseball season is hot stove, the beginning of spring training, pitcher to catches and the build up to spring training. Opening day.
That's not all that interesting.
Nah, the beginning of it. Just some other moves and everything else because there's still there's late hot stove, so to speak. Opening day because it's opening day, right? And then September on. That's it. So of course I watch almost every game, but that's besides the point. So.
Every game, all 6,812.
Every Met game, not every game.
Hey, do you remember when was it last year, or the year before? Somebody paid a couple of guys to like live in this bubble or something.
The Bubble
Like
Boys?
No, it was like they set up this apartment for them, and
I think there's a lot of people who would gladly have that now.
I'll take
they
it.
were in the city, and
Yeah, I mean, you give me a bubble in the city and pay for it, I'm there.
and they watched. They were supposed to watch like every game they had on. They had like all these TVs in there.
Again, what this is.
I vaguely remember this, but
You guys
I'm not
remember this?
100%.
Sounds like they won the lottery.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I forget. I think they did actually.
They
I
brought
believe
them
that's how they were
Pop-Tarts
chosen.
and beer. They'd be,
Yeah, I believe that's how they were chosen. But they had to like quit their jobs, and they had to watch
every game.
single game. They had every game on.
and they got paid.
I don't know about that. Probably.
Okay.
I don't think it cost them anything out of pocket other than not having a job. But like they set them up, and the apartment was like this, had glass walls and stuff. I think it was above the street level, so people could see
can
that
watch
they were in
them
there.
watching the games.
Yeah, so I mean, they had obviously private
Quarters.
bedrooms or whatever, and bathroom and stuff.
Right.
But it was
Jack Shack in the back.
The toilet was sitting over a glass.
Yeah.
yeah, glass.
In fact, the drain of the toilet was glass. I think.
All right. Too much. I mean, let's face it.
Everything.
You have glass
That's
walls
my
next to
idea.
the toilet that you never miss any minute of the game.
Exactly.
Well, I think they had a TV right in front of the toilet, so they were
Of course
supposed
they
to,
did.
they were supposed to watch every game.
This sounds like something Barstool Sports would have done.
You know what? It definitely does sound
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, just two guys. You know the rules. Every game.
You know the
Two poops, and one knows the rules.
rules. Everybody knows the rules.
No poops. No rent. Everybody watches you.
You know the rules.
Oh, hey, here's something exciting.
What's that?
All right.
I got new glasses.
Are you giving away cash on the
Cash. Here's something exciting.
You look like Crazy Eddie. We're giving it away.
I got new glasses.
I noticed those.
Oh, very nice.
Very
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Hold the money up again and go, it's insane.
My new
His
glasses
prices are insane.
insane.
And we date ourselves even further.
There you go. Exactly. So that's the over under for next week's show. It's going to be the how many digits on a serial number over 5.
How
old
much
was the
money
guy
did
who
I
played
drop in front of
Crazy
the
Eddie
camera?
when he died?
His prices are insane. All right. Football. Last Thursday night game is on right now as we speak. It's Dallas versus Tennessee. And there's a few players out for this game from both sides. Tony Pollard isn't running for the Cowboys, and your buddy, what's his face?
Zeke Elliott?
No, the big guy from Tennessee.
The big guy.
The big guy.
Derrick
Henry?
Derrick Henry. Yes, Derrick Henry. From it's not running either. He's out.
No running game.
I mean,
So
Derrick-
Zeke is the only running game.
saying Derrick Henry is out for the Titans is like saying the Titans are only playing defense tonight. Their offense will just hand the ball over to Dallas.
And isn't Tannehill out for the rest of the season too? Or did he
I
come
don't
back?
I think he is, yeah.
Is he? Okay. I didn't know
I
that.
think that's correct.
So
That's right. Dobbs is the quarterback for.
right.
Yeah.
Dobbs,
Tennessee.
Dobbs, wasn't he in a cartoon? Dobbs,
Yeah, of course.
Calvin. That's yeah.
Calvin and Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. The Tennessee Titans have 2 rushes for 4 yards,
ooh, they're starting
Sweet.
big.
and
Nice.
Ezekiel Elliott has 2 rushes for 7 yards. So the run defense is looking good for both teams right now.
There you go. Looks pretty good. All right. So last week we all watched the Giants on Saturday on Christmas Eve.
Some of us did.
You didn't?
I watched in and out.
Yeah. I didn't watch every single snap, but I watched because it was we were at family's house for.
There were basketball games on.
Oh no, I watched the Knicks before I didn't even turn on.
Unfortunately, I watched the Knicks.
Yeah, well, Exactly. But in any event, I put on the game, and the Giants played decent.
Giants played really well. I think they played their best game of the year.
Played a solid game. I want to say that I wanted to say that the defense blew it and gave up those 8 yards right before the kick, but that was a franchise record kick for the Vikings.
Yeah, and they played a team that's better than them. They also played a Vikings team who just seems to be able to win games despite them not necessarily. Like, Minnesota has not played nearly as well in the second half of the season as they have in the first half, yet they still continue to
find a way to win.
Yeah. The comeback against Indiana was just like, all right, maybe this team is destined for at least something this year. Mm-hmm. And I knew the Giants game would be close because Minnesota doesn't necessarily seem to run away from anybody anymore. Right. But they also seem to be able to score in big chunks when they need to. And, they're a better team than the Giants. The Giants played like I said, I thought they played their best game of the year. They came up a little short, which nothing to be disappointed about.
No, not at all. And furthermore, they're not going to be able to get the 5th seed in the playoffs by any means, because Dallas.
And who thought we'd be talking about that?
Right. But they win on Sunday, this coming Sunday. They beat
which they better,
right? And they secure a playoff spot. Most likely, they'll be able to hold on to that 6th seed too. And that being the case, the first round of the playoffs, they'll actually face the Vikings again.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest with you, the two teams that they're not going to obviously face the Bucs, because the Cowboys are going to face the Bucs. That's the way it's going to be, or whoever wins the NFC South, for that matter. But if the Giants face the Vikings, I think they stand a chance of possibly winning the game. If they face the other team in the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think they're.
Here's what the Giants are lacking. Because if you look at Daniel Jones's numbers, very efficient, over 300 yards, which is fairly rare for him. Mm-hmm. He threw a pick, had a touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. Mm-hmm. All decent things for Daniel Jones. The problem with the Giants is they have no downfield game. None. The Vikings are able to strike, and they're able to score on big plays, or at least gain big chunks of yardage, which is how they got downfield.
Let me ask you: would you?
The Giants need to be able to. Now, that's not on Daniel Jones.
No,
obviously they're receiving, but
let me ask you a question.
They also don't even attempt it. They don't even attempt to get Darius Slayton or anybody. They just don't attempt it.
Well, Slayton's their only deep threat, really. Who would you honestly though, and I say this rhetorically because obviously I know what the answer is. Who would you rather have? Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and
of course
Hutchinson, or would you rather have Bellinger, Richie James, and Hodgson, whatever Hodgins.
I'll tell you what. They gotta let James and Hodgins. They gotta let those guys go. Start to create a little bit more of depth in their routes so that they can get Slayton open. Isaiah Hodgins is, I think, going to become a pretty good receiver.
And they picked him up off of from Buffalo.
Yep,
he was on the Buffalo practice squad.
Yeah, I like what I saw from him. I think he's got almost 35 receptions already this year. Mm-hmm. So not bad.
No,
what did he have? 6 or 7 receptions the other day? That's pretty good for a Giants offense that throws the ball. Threw the ball 40 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you were to tell me that Daniel Jones was going to outpass. Kirk Cousins, again, the yardage builds up because the passing game has kind of become supplemental to the Giants rushing game. Mm-hmm. The difference is Kirk Cousins threw for 3 touchdowns, and look, the Giants got to Cousins. They had pressure on him. The defense played a pretty good game. They just lost to a better team. And if they meet again, I think it'll be another close game.
I agree. I do agree. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, this first step to that, to that rematch is Sunday against the Colts. They got to win that game.
They can't have what in years past the Giants would have had, which is let's play down to the competition, and they need to come out and they need to beat the shit out of the Colts. That's what the Giants need to do. They need to establish a physical running game and get this game over with early. That's what the Giants need to do.
Yep, agreed. You agree, Pete?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I think the Giants have a less chance of shitting the bed than the Jets do this week. Indianapolis is a little bit. They're sort of backs against the wall, right? What do we do now? Who's going to be our quarterback now? So they're go for broke, and we'll see. We'll see. But, they could just come out and play and be loose, and the Giants obviously have something on the line and something to prove. They did, the players and the coaches on the New York Football Giants are not going to be happy with this season if they don't do something a little better.
Right.
They
and that's winning winning another game, getting in the playoffs, and making some.
Yeah, get in the playoffs. Okay, if you lose week one in the playoffs, fine. At least you've done something. They want that, maybe more than some fans do, not as much as some fans do. So they may be a little bit tight, but
there is a chance for the Giants to have a home game, right?
No,
there is not. Okay.
The only way the Giants, well, technically yes, but the only way the Giants could have a home game,
they need to win the next two games.
They need to. They won't be any higher. They can't be any higher than the 6th seed.
Okay.
All right. So the only way they would get a home game is if it was the NFC Championship game and they were hosting the 7th seed.
Okay. All right.
So, which is quite improbable, I should say. But
I mean, I think they're going to win this week, but I mean, I'm picking them to win.
Right.
But I wouldn't surprise me if the Colts come out and squeaked this one out.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild card teams, the top wild card team used to get a home game only because there used to be two teams that had a bye week. Right. Now there's only one team that has a bye week. So all home games are in divisional winners stadiums.
Gotcha.
Anyway, cool. All right.
Well, all right.
Over to the Jets. Before we start talking about the Jets, we can only play this another couple of weeks unless they get into the playoffs. So,
thankfully, it gets retired.
How you doing?
I just want.
Hey man, I'm gonna turn you over to Coach Sala. Hey, yell it. I'm great, man. Blessed to be here, man. Hey man, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Family.
Yes.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, what can you say about the Jets?
What can you say about the Jets? Mike White's back this week. Mike White is back this week.
Listen, Jet fans, it was nice. It was nice while it lasted. We had something to be hopeful. We still do. Sure. We have a good defense, and we can continue to build on that. Mm-hmm. The rest of it is a shit show because it's the New York Jets. So that's just the way it is. I think I said a couple of weeks ago they're not going to win another game this season. I think that remains to be true.
I don't.
I like Mike White. I'm half ready to give up on Zach Wilson because I stuck behind. Not that it made any difference, Sam Bradford Darnold for so long. And he's a little bit rejuvenated now, but I think it's just a passing phase in Carolina there. I mean, everything is against Zach Wilson now, and he has a lot of work to do to get back to being in the fans' good graces and maybe in the team's good graces and maybe in the coach's good graces. And, we're gonna know probably. I don't know. Maybe next season. I mean, who knows? If Mike White goes somewhere else, then problem solved. Maybe at least as far as that competition goes. If Mike White gets another contract with the Jets, you're not bringing him back to be a backup, so it should be an open competition. Who knows? They may cut bait with Zach and say, okay, somebody else take a shot on him. The Jets have a long history of not being very good at developing players who don't come in and do at least pretty well, right? Some guys, even as rookies, and it's tough as a quarterback, of course, they come in and they play well enough that you go, okay, we got someone we can work with. Other guys really struggle. Some teams do a better job at helping those players that struggle, even as rookies, and developing them and getting them to be better. The Jets do not do a good job of that. Either you're in or you're out with them. And if they don't get it right, if they don't get Wilson right and find a way to do that, then, that's 2 top 3 quarterback picks over the last few, going on several years, that have turned out to be wrong. Or perhaps wrong for the Jets, who can't make them get right. And,
Well,
I'm rooting for the kid. I want him to be the Jets quarterback of the future. I don't want to see him get cut loose after another year and then end up going somewhere else where somebody understands how to get him to where he can be and unlock that potential and release that. And then he turns into a pretty good quarterback. So, but that's most likely what's going to happen, because who are they? They are, after all, the Jets.
This is true. They are.
So,
they are the Jets.
You know what? Bet on them to cover the spread. But they will not win any games. They'll make it close. It'll be tantalizing. They'll go into, is it Miami Week 18?
It's Miami Week 18,
right? Probably still without Tua or whatever, or this or that, and they'll make it close. They'll tease us. They'll keep us on the edge of our seats. But ultimately, it will be, again, depending on your point of view, could be a disappointment because there was so much there, such a nice first half, and then shit in the bed since week 8 or whatever. Or you could say, well, like I said, I want to see them get 8 wins. Well,
I think they're
not going to get there. I think
they win
pretty close.
I think they win this week.
That's because you're not a Jets fan.
Well,
they should. They should win this week. They should, but they won't.
They won't. Well, here's what has to happen for the Jets to make the playoffs.
They need to win 2.
Here we go. Hold on. I'm getting it up right here.
While you're doing that, to your point on Zach Wilson, I mean, look, he didn't have the best rookie year, but he had a pretty good rookie year.
Yes.
So he's obviously taken a step back this year. If the past is any prediction for the future, then the quarterbacks that the Jets have taken chances on recently, they've proven to not necessarily been great NFL quarterbacks. So I think the jury's out on Zach Wilson, but he seems to look right now like that. He just seems to be a kid who just doesn't have what it takes to play in the NFL. I don't think it's coaching. Maybe if you put more talent around him, maybe. But he just seems to make bad decisions. And it seems like it's exposed more this year.
Other players working in the same system are able, with the exception of Flacco, who is a wooden statue right now.
I don't think he knows he's on the Jets.
No, I don't think he does either. But they are able to move the ball, right? Even the third stringer is able to move the ball and get some. So it has to be something else. Whether it's fixable or not is the real question.
And Jet fans are not dumb fans. So if the entire stadium is chanting Joe Flacco, then something is maybe wrong with the quarterback.
Yeah. So,
right,
I want him to be that guy, but
so here is the path. Here's their current path right now to the playoffs. They need to beat Seattle this week, and they need to beat the Dolphins in week 18. Clearly,
okay, and that's all you need to say, because that will never happen.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then the Patriots need to lose just one of their final 2 games,
which they will.
And that's the Dolphins this week and the Bills the following week. So
they'll lose to the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but if that Bills game means nothing, then you never know, because it could be a fucking shit show bowl where
where the Bills just throw out their practice squad players.
Yeah,
so.
if the game means nothing to the Bills, then the Bills aren't going to risk Josh Allen getting an injury.
But it's everything that needs to happen will happen, except the Jets holding up their end,
Yeah.
So
They
now,
I don't think they'll win one, let alone two.
yeah, no. So it would make more. It would make more sense.
Seattle. They should.
I agree, but they won't.
It would make more sense. It would make more sense for them to, if for them to beat the Seahawks and beat the Dolphins, for the Patriots to lose to the Dolphins this week. But that would mean the Dolphins losing their final two games now too. Now hold on one second.
2 is out.
Here's something else on the other right. And here's something else though. The Raiders at 6-9 can actually still make the playoffs.
Yep.
And here's how it works. The Raiders have to win their last two games, obviously. The Dolphins have to lose both of their games. So this fits into that. Okay. The Jets need to beat the Dolphins the second game, obviously, but they also need to lose to the Seahawks. So they need to lose this week and then beat the Dolphins in week 18. The Patriots need to beat the Dolphins but lose to the Bills. The Steelers need to lose one game, and the Titans need to beat the Cowboys tonight, which they're not going to do, and lose to the Jaguars next week, which they're not going to do. So if that all happens, then the Raiders actually make the playoffs. But the Raiders actually make the playoffs because they wind up with an 8-9 record, but so does New England, and they have the tiebreaker over New England head-to-head because of the mishap and the backwards pass that the Raiders ran in for a touchdown 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I just found that interesting, so I just wanted to bring that up. Now that I've bored all of you and you've gone to sleep.
All right, next.
Listen, the Raiders are a very.
The Raiders suck and they're not making the playoffs.
No, I don't think so either. It's a very interesting story, though, right? About
Right.
a team that had high hopes and looked like dismal early on, and is now at least has a shot. Again, all that is not going to happen.
They've won a few games that I didn't think they were going to win, and they're a weird team. They're one of those weirdest teams in the NFL. You can't really quite get a grip on what's going on with that team. They don't really have an identity. You know, what they excel at one week, they come back and are a completely different team the next week. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. On that note, obviously, whatchamacallit is no longer the quarterback.
What team are we talking about now?
The Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr has been relieved of his duties. In fact, he's no longer with the team. He's left. He's gone. He's no longer a Raider. He's been
released.
Well, he released himself. They benched him for the last two games.
I'm done with this contract.
His contract's done.
Last time I said I relieved myself, it was a very different context.
He relieved himself. Yeah. His contract's done. He's a free agent. They didn't re-sign him, or haven't re-signed him yet. They relieved him of his quarterback duties for the last two games, so as to not cause any internal strife in the organization, he walked away. So he will not be with the team. He's out. I mean, I guess you could say technically still a Raider, but yeah. Now, so that's bringing me somewhere now too. The Jets. Going forward, I'm asking you, Pete. I'll ask you too, Larry.
Where's Carr going?
I'm asking you first.
I mean, it would be perfect.
Who do you want to see be the quarterback of the New York Football Jets next year? Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers, because there's talk of that too, Zach Wilson, or Mike White?
Now, before you answer, okay, I just want to let you know that according to a certain receiver, Derek Carr was the best quarterback in football and better than Aaron Rodgers. So,
and he played with both of them, so he knows, right? He also went to college with him too.
I was going to say, does Devontae come as part of the package?
I doubt it seriously.
If we get Carr, do we get?
Let me just say that this is why you could be really, really good at what you do with your athletic skills, But this is why sometimes the top players have no judgment as far as talent.
None.
Yeah, it's just it's just ridiculous.
Out of those quarterbacks, though, out of Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, or Mike White, who do you want as your starting quarterback next year?
Well, I mean, that's a stupid question.
Why is it stupid?
Because it's obvious what the answer is.
What's the answer?
The answer is obviously you want Aaron Rodgers.
Do you?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
Now, if you said Danny White, I would say okay, because Danny White at his current age is better than everybody else on that list except Aaron Rodgers.
let me throw a little caveat into the.
Think about what,
and then I'll answer the question.
But think about on that note, though, and Harry can think about this while you say that, though, Pete.
Okay.
Think about what they'll need to do to get each of those particular people before you, and then what
they'll need to do to get Derek Carr is just sign him.
Right? No, right. Derek Carr's just signed him. Jimmy Garoppolo is just signed him. Not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay's going to want a shit ton of shit for him.
Yeah.
Now, let me just also say something. If there was a quarterback who fit into the motif of the New York Jets quarterbacks over the last 10 years, there is nobody more perfect than Derek Carr.
Just keep it going. Keep it going. All right, Pete, what were you going to say?
All right, so the caveat is exactly what you were alluding to. I don't think it's going to be a deal for Aaron Rodgers. Because great, then you have Aaron Rodgers and you don't have anything.
Right.
Else.
And you're giving up Sauce and you're giving up Garrett, the Wilson.
No, you're not. Forget about it.
Yeah, that's now Garoppolo. You know I love Jimmy G. Not just because of his looks, but he.
Although that plays into it.
And if he's in New York, you can bring him on as a guest on your OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's part of it. Sure.
That's right.
But he gets hurt a lot. He gets hurt a lot. And that's all we need.
As opposed to Zach Wilson or Mike White.
All right, well, I like Mike White.
Unfortunately, Derek Carr is very, very resilient.
Right.
I don't know if Mike White is the answer. I don't think he is. I think he's a good backup. He may get a job somewhere else, and I wish him well if that happens. I wish him well if he's on the Jets. And you want me to choose? So that leaves Derek Carr and Zach Wilson. An unproven rookie who seems to have problems that no one in New York likes, and has to improve
except maybe a couple of 65-year-old women. But that's
for teams whose fan base is in the New York metropolitan area, having quarterbacks that no one likes is just what you do.
It is. But given all that, I have to say, Derek Carr, throw him in there. Give him an offensive line that can protect him. You got some talent.
Why is he benched? Why is he benched?
Because he probably spoke up to the powers that be and spoke his mind as he wanted to.
He had 75 fumbles last week. He lost a bunch of them. He threw a couple of picks. He had a really, really, really bad game.
No, I know. I'm not looking for any deep. The answer is because he sucks. Right. That's why he's benched.
Oh. So you weren't asking why he was benched.
I was asking.
You were giving the answer.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've said this about Derek Carr, which is why I laugh when Devontae Adams made the statements that he made. I don't dislike Derek Carr. I think he's actually kind of a nice guy. You just look at him and you go, this guy is never going to win a big game. Is he a bad quarterback? No, but he's like every quarterback from 10 to however many teams there are, 32, that you don't.
So here's why. Here's why you wait a minute. Here's why you bring him to the Jets.
Good.
Okay, because you're going to give him what you're going to give him. You're going to pay him. If he has some sort of, and you're going to build your defense, and you're going to build an offensive line, and you're going to build the team around him. And then when that is complete, you can decide if you want to draft somebody or if you want to bring in another younger free agent or whatever. You're going to give him a couple of years contract. And unless he turns
he's under contract. He's under contract. Derek Carr is under, isn't he?
No, I think his deal is up, right? He's free agent.
He's done. He's a free agent.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to give him a couple years, and you're going to build the team, and either he's going to be good enough to get you someplace or whatever, or he's just going to be Derek Carr, and then you just fucking cut bait, and you bring in a superstar, somebody else, or you're going to try going through the draft again. You bring in a veteran who can just hold it together and won't cost you boatloads of money.
He's Sam
until you
Darnold.
build...
He's Sam Darnold with experience.
Right. Well,
fine. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Here's
the
other thing. Now, keep in mind, Derek Carr's brother won a Super Bowl.
Johnny Carr.
Tell us.
David Carr.
David Carr, yeah.
He won a Super Bowl, but he didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, no, he was on the bench for Eli.
And, yeah,
right,
I know
exactly.
who he is. Yes. I said, he won a Super Bowl, had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it, right, yeah. So, but in any event, look, here's my thing. It's Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm going to tell you why. He wins when he's not hurt.
That would be the win now.
When he's not hurt, he's not hurt, he wins. Okay, so if you can put enough pieces around him so that he doesn't get hurt, he wins. And he's got the connection between the Jets coaching staff was on part of his coaching staff for years. So he knows them and they know him. So there's your response right there. And I think you cut bait with Zach Wilson. I think you have Mike White to play in the games that Jimmy Garoppolo might be hurt for. And that's how you go to
right. Now that's if Mike White is mediocre over the rest of the let's say he plays the last 2 games and doesn't get offered a contract somewhere else.
Right. Ideally.
Right? So you're going to bring it.
Ideally,
you have to bring Mike White back and say, listen, now you're going to be the backup to Jimmy G, but at least it's not going to be the kid.
Right. Ideally, it would be Jimmy G and Derek Carr. Derek Carr is Jimmy G's backup. Bring them both in. And then,
or listen, I think you could legitimately bring in. Legitimately might be too strong of a word. You could legitimately bring in Garoppolo and have Zach Wilson sit on the bench and see if you can fix him that way.
This is true too.
But I don't know if that's ever going to happen because given what we know about Zach Wilson and his attitude and his demeanor, how is that going to work? You brought me here to be the starter, and now, he won't look at it as I sucked, and so you're benching me and hoping that I'll learn from experience. He'll just look at it as, fuck this place, I can't wait to get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
here's the thing with Jimmy G. We joke about this all the time when we say somebody is a systems quarterback. Jimmy G is a systems quarterback. He is a great quarterback for one team. So if you have a team that can match up and have a dominant defense, okay, have playmakers around him that can do the most with short passes and running the ball, okay, and have somebody who could be a good game manager and occasionally make a big play, then yes, Jimmy G is the perfect. And the Jets do, in some ways, fit that bill.
Sure.
Okay.
They have all those things, but at a slightly lesser level.
Right.
San Francisco,
and at a slightly lesser level, Jimmy G becomes a 3-12 quarterback.
Right. Okay. Their defense isn't quite as dominating because they don't have quite the playmakers.
If Jimmy G was the best option for the 49ers, they would not have started Trey Lance. And since he's been out, they look even better with Brock Purdy, who's nobody knew who the fuck he was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, honestly, I think if they can get Brock Purdy, they should do that.
Right. So that was my point, So I think if you're going for the Jets to go and nobody's going to sign Jimmy G to a big deal. It's just not going to happen. Everybody's taking a look at him. Everybody had a chance to sign him. Again, being hurt, the Jets are not going to spend money on Jimmy G because they just don't have the team to make. He's not going to make the Jets a better team than they are right now.
Right.
Derek Carr could. It could be that let's take a chance, give him a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option or whatever. And try to get some receivers around him so that the Jets can open up their offense a little. The Jets have a lot of speed. The Jets have a lot of young players on offense that could develop into, a San Francisco type offense, which I think would also help Derek Carr. I think the other thing that helps Derek Carr is that he can't be, which is why I thought it would work out with Josh McDaniels, but he's not Joe Burrow. He's not Josh Allen. And in the past, teams have relied on him to be that type of quarterback. I think he needs to be in a more run-dominated offense where he can throw the ball 32 times a game and 20 of those passes are 10 yards or less. That's where I think Derek Carr can help a team. Now, having said that, there's one team that loves to sign quarterbacks way past their prime to 1 or 2 year deals. Not that Derek Carr is as old as their recent history with this, but we all know who that team is, and that is probably where he's going to wind up. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
It's the Colts.
Mhm.
I mean, it fits the pattern of he is the next Matt Ryan for them, who came in for Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. It's the perfect scenario.
I could see Jim Irsay wanting Jimmy Garoppolo before he wants Derek Carr, though.
But he didn't. He had a chance. Everybody had a chance to go sign Jimmy Garoppolo or at least get a trade for him, and they didn't. So
that was a trade, though. This is free agency.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But in any event,
can he stay healthy? That's the big question with Garoppolo. Can he stay healthy?
Agreed. All right.
So far, the answer is no.
Yeah.
I'll throw one more name out there, and then we'll
they did almost get there.
I'll throw one more name out there, and then we'll wrap up this Jets talk, because I have seen it in about 4 or 5 places, and I know most of it's just speculation and tongue in cheek. But what about Tom Brady
to the Jets?
To the Jets.
I mean, that would be Brett Favre all over again.
Right.
I don't think Brady's coming to the Jets.
I don't either, but I just thought it was funny to say. All right.
No, I think same scenario as Carr, but it'll cost you too much money. Yeah. And obviously, he's a better quarterback than Derek Carr is. But
will he though? I mean, he hasn't really made a ton of money in any year that he's been a quarterback.
If out of anybody there, if Tom Brady wants to go somewhere, he will make it work and take less money. But there's nothing on the Jets that says I'm going to play my last year here
as a New York Jet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's just.
Although
that's not the way you want to go. That's not the way you want to go out.
No, but for years they've been saying, "Okay, Brady, you're the GOAT. All right, yeah, you went down to Tampa, you won down there too. You want to prove, right? You want to prove that you're the GOAT. Go win a Super Bowl with the Jets." So
he won the Super Bowl with Justin Edelman or Julius Edelman, so he doesn't have anything to fucking prove. But yeah, the problem is that he's not going to the Jets. He's not playing in the cold.
No. Nope. He did that. Been there, done that. All right. Nathaniel Hackett got fired the other day.
Yeah.
How's the talk out in Denver about that?
Look, here's my take on the Broncos. I don't give a fuck because the Nuggets are playing.
Right.
Okay.
Is that the way Denver feels though? Or
no,
is it you
only me.
Right.
Only me. Half of Denver doesn't know they have a pro basketball team. Half of Denver doesn't know they have the best fucking player in basketball on their team. And yet all we want to talk about is Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett left because Nathaniel Hackett was handed a bag of shit and told to put it together. He's also one of these coordinators who is not ready to be a head coach in the NFL. Now, the Broncos have tried a defensive coordinator and they couldn't do anything. They've tried an offensive guy now. They need to bring in an old school football coach in here. And the biggest problem with the Denver Broncos is they need to stop allowing John Elway to make personnel decisions. He needs to go to a bar in Cherry Creek and sit there, hit on 38-year-olds with recent plastic surgery and get the fuck out of the Broncos decision making. That's what he needs to do. That's what the Denver Broncos need to do. Denver Broncos have a very good defense. Okay. They made a big mistake in signing Russell Wilson, and I was the first person to say that. Okay. Do I think that they could do something with Wilson? Possibly. But it's going to take a specific type of offense, and they're going to have a coach who can put together something where they can move the ball. Their offense is miserable. It's miserable. I think they also have to be honest with saying, yeah, maybe this Russell Wilson thing is not the answer.
Kind of stuck with it now. Not much you can do about it. So
nope.
Is John Elway a part owner of the team, or is he just an executive?
Good question. I mean, he's the grand poobah He's an executive.
Right. But I mean,
no, he's not part of the ownership. He's
so at what point
he's
did
the
they
president of football operations.
Right.
I mean, at what point do you just go, okay, thanks, John, for your years of service, but we're going to go into?
I don't know. The other thing,
can you do that? Can you do that in Denver?
No, especially now because you don't have the old ownership of the Broncos who own the team for years and years and years. You have the great grandchildren of Walmart and Condoleezza Rice and 17 other people who are part owners.
He's actually not even the president of football operations anymore. He's a consultant. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, so they can let him go.
I thought he is the president of football operations.
That title is done.
Okay.
It's now at this moment he's just a consultant.
Or is he actually the president of football operations just without the title?
Yeah. Anyway, the Broncos roster consists of talent that has been amassed by John Elway. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I will say this. I think the Broncos have some really, really good young talent on the defensive side of the ball. I think they have a decent offensive line. I think they need an identity on offense that works, and they need to have an offensive scheme that works to Russell Wilson's strengths and not try to force him into an offense that I don't think works for him. Russell Wilson thinks that he is going to become Joe Burrow or this. No, it needs to be more of a ball control offense where they let him throw the ball and gain short bursts of yardage. But they need the talent to do that. And right now, the Broncos offense looks a little lost. Now they've had some injuries. They do have some talent on the offensive side. They lost their best receiver for a number of games. I think they'll definitely be better next year, but they got to find the right coach. And they've been searching for this for a long time. And it's tough.
Nathaniel Hackett has become just the third coach to be fired before the end of his first season with the team since 1970. And this year, Nathaniel Hackett. Last year, Urban Meyer. And 1978, Pete McCulley with the San Francisco 49ers. And that was it. So, yeah, he joins that illustrious crew. It's interesting. So, on that note, I do want to bring up one other thing on football before we do anything else. I just want to say, because it's exactly today. All right. Tom Brady, we mentioned him before. You might have heard of him. All right. There were exactly 8,292 days between the day he was born and the day he was drafted into the NFL. Okay. Since the day he was drafted into the NFL, today is the 8,292nd day. He's been in the NFL. Therefore, he's literally today been in the NFL half his life. So, there you go.
I'd say that's probably the better half of his life too.
I think
those first 8,200 days or whatever, they were nice, but
they were nice. I mean, some of them involved,
He didn't win, 15 championships.
He wasn't fucking supermodels.
Yeah. And impregnating them.
Well, that's the downside of fame.
They weren't just his girlfriends.
Yeah, this is true. So, but in any event, yeah,
I didn't say he was the smartest guy.
I thought you'd appreciate that. All right. Do we want to head into beaten by the coin now, or is it time for Are They For Real?
Let's do the coin.
Let's do the coin now. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do the coin.
I think you're right. Let's do the coin.
We do have a little bit of football for the Are They For Real, but spread out across a couple of other sports.
Sounds like a plan. So let's get to beaten by the coin. Any other talk we wanted to do? I think it was pretty much it.
I hope not.
Right,
yeah,
so there you go. All right.
The coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten
Getting
by
ready
the
to gloat
coin.
just a little bit.
I'm an idiot too.
Well, listen. It's kind of tight.
How many games did we actually officially have last week? Because I was either 4-2 or 5-2. I don't know.
You
were
were
3-3.
How was I 3-3?
You were 3-3.
You won with Jacksonville, Minnesota, and San Francisco.
Did we pick the Dallas Philly game?
No.
Oh, okay.
What you call it? Yeah, and I don't know. The whole entire time I made a mistake, and I'll own up to it. And that's fine. I'm not looking for anything here. Not that it would really matter at this point anyway. But I made a mistake. I totally meant to type in Packers for me. I was like excited. I was like, all right, I went 4-2. Finally, I picked up a game. Nope, I put Dolphins instead.
Oh yeah. And I double checked before I made up the chart too.
I'm an idiot. I literally in my mind I picked Packers and typed Dolphins. So, but anyway, so that was me. But yeah, so I went 3-3.
Yeah, which would have made sense because you were going
against him, right?
of
Why would I?
And
right.
Was the Pack and Finns one of our games?
Yes.
It was, yeah. So basically, you guys ended up 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jags won. The Titans didn't win.
Nope.
Titans lost. Yep.
The Vikings won. The 49ers
won.
The 49ers won, and the Packers won.
Yeah, but you picked the Dolphins.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I said Pack Fins. I said desperate Pack. Hold on for dear life. I just picked the fucking Packers. I'm 4-3. You guys try to rob me every week. I'm 4-2
Right,
actually.
Now we got to go back.
I'm going back right
It's
now.
right here. The text is right here. Look at the screen. It's right here. Fucking A, every goddamn week. I'm probably ahead by 4 games.
All right. Now we got to go back and look at the messages.
I will take Miami if we sub that one.
That wasn't me. It said Pack Fin. Desperate Pack holding on for dear life.
And underneath you wrote after that one. After that you wrote I will take my. It does on. Yeah, he said I will take Miami if we sub that one.
I didn't even realize I wrote that. I had it up above. I had the Packers.
Well, that's what was confusing. And then you wrote that. It's like, oh, all right.
Well, and here's the thing. It says Pack Fins ? Desperate Pack holding on for dear life.
I thought that was just a statement.
No, that's who I picked.
That doesn't mean I picked the Packers.
Whatever.
It
doesn't
I thought it was just a statement. I thought it was a statement.
And then you definitively say I will take Miami if we sub that one.
So anyway, so what's the record right now?
All right, so I'm either 2 or 1 games ahead of Harry, depending on the outcome.
Well, I'm like 19 back, so I got nothing to worry about with me.
You are 8 games back of Harry at 48 and 44, and 7 games ahead of the coin, which is a respectable 41 and 51.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. So it's
So
still
there you
close.
It's still close.
I have not cheated Harry enough to get more than a 2-game lead on him.
Like it's between the two of you. I'm just picking all opposites at this point, except for the Giants. So
Except for Miami and Green Bay.
except yeah, exactly. So
Anyway,
anyway, go ahead.
and
All right.
all right. So here we go.
All right.
Gonna
I'm
mark
writing it down
down.
too. I'm marking it down too.
Well, we never know what your picks are anyway, John, because you never send them to anybody.
Well, they're up on the board. They're up on the.
I don't look at the web. I don't look at the website or the.
Everybody else.
I don't look at what I write. All right, Miami and New England. In New England, fighting it out for I don't know, wild card spot or something.
Something. Like
John, who do you like?
I'm taking Miami.
John is taking Miami. That'd be MIA. Harry?
I hate this game. I'm going to take New England.
I'm going to take New England as well because I think that sets the Jets up for tantalization and an ultimate failure. And the coin. Oops, where's the coin? Crap, hold on.
Gotta find the right one.
There's only one. It's a box full of flash drives and a coin.
So flip the flash drive.
I should. All right. Coin likes Miami.
Lovely.
So John and the coin like Miami.
Mhm.
Harry and I, we like New England. All right, Indianapolis and the Giants. That is in Giant Stadium, I believe, or MetLife.
It's in MetLife. Yes, Giants are
All right.
home.
Harry, I'll let you pick first, or do you want me to pick first?
No, I like the Giants.
He likes the Giants. Okay, John.
Giants.
Giants. I'm taking the Giants as well. And the coin likes the home team. So we're all
Everybody's
in
on the
agreement
Giants.
there. All right. Jets and the Sea Chickens. As I've said before, the Jets will not win another game this season, so I'll take the Seahawks. John?
I haven't decided yet.
All right. Harry?
Again, another game that's just impossible to pick. I think the Jets.
All right. Let me flip the coin. Give John a little more time to work out his strategy.
The Jets are so fucking horrible on offense, but I still think they're going to win.
All right. Coin agrees with you.
That's a bad sign.
Jets. Yeah, that's usually a bad sign. Hey, it's only 10 games under 500.
I'll go with the Seahawks. I'll go with the Seahawks.
John's going with the Seahawks. All right. Minnesota, Green Bay.
So let me ask you guys a question on this game. Why is Green Bay favored by 4 points?
Because they're hot. Have they won 3 in a row?
Because they won 3 in a row. They beat Miami last week, and the Vikings almost lost to the Giants last week. Not that should matter, but that's the way Vegas rates the Giants.
Look, Minnesota's overrated, and everybody knows it. They keep showing it.
So Green Bay beat the pack of Dolphins team without their quarterback.
Right.
And okay.
I think it's stupid too, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
John, you get to go pick this one, or do you want to wait till last?
I'm going last.
All right, Harry.
Look, if Minnesota's for real, then they got to win this game. They got to stick a knife in the Packers and win the division. I just can't see the Vikings losing this game. I think the Vikings win.
All right, I'm going to take Green Bay. They're red hot, and they could actually make the playoffs. And this whole season has been insane. And I don't like to pick them, but I'd much rather see Minnesota win. But I think Green Bay is going to do it. And the coin agrees with you, Harry. Minnesota.
Minnesota.
All right, Johnny.
I'll go with the Pack.
Green Bay. There we go.
So they're super hot because they beat the Dolphins without Tua. They beat the Rams without Stafford or anybody else. And they beat the Bears. So they're super hot. Okay.
You can only play the team that's in front of you.
This is true.
And you can only win if the team suck.
Well, that might be the case. In which case, I'll figure out a way to take another game from you somewhere
I'm just
else.
curious. It fascinates me. They must know something I don't know. They'll probably be right.
None of this is driven by reality. It's driven by how do we get people to lay down money. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
I guess.
All right, we finish up with Cleveland visiting the Washington Commanders, who I believe will be led by Carson Wentz.
Who knows? Yeah.
Because that's the thing to do when you're trying to get in the playoffs, is putting Carson Wentz.
I mean, has what's his name really been that bad?
No.
No.
But they're desperate. However, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to take the Communists.
Well, I gotta make up some ground. We're running out of time here, so I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I'm either gonna get closer to John or close the gap. So
okay. See what Pete's doing now is screwing me because I either pick up ground on him or Harry, but not both of them.
Yeah, you're not catching me.
So there you go. But I was taking the Commanders, Commandos, Commodores, whatever.
John's
you
got
call it.
Washington.
Yes.
All right. See what the coin says. The coin likes the Cleveland Brownies.
There you go.
All right,
And
so
you got another game. Panthers
we do?
Bucks. Panthers Bucks.
oh right, okay, sorry. Let me put that. Where is that?
Sunday 1 o'clock.
Carolina at Tampa.
Carolina
Carolina
at Tampa.
at Tampa. Oh, okay. Harry, you want to go first?
Why am I going first all the time?
All right, I'll go first. I'll take.
Panthers are hot. They won one in a row.
Yeah.
I will say this: both
no
of
reason
these
not to
teams are 3-1 in their own division.
Aren't they? Are they? They're not tied, right?
No.
In the division, they're a game apart.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at the old standings here. God. You know what? I'm going to take Carolina.
Led by Sam Darnold this week, or who's
Led by the resurgent Sam Darnold, who's going to prove me wrong, and they're going to get crushed. He's
right?
going to throw 3 picks.
Carolina's horrible on the road. This game is going to be close, as all these are. I think Tampa wins. I think they hold on and they win the division.
I think they do too, but I'm going to take Carolina.
Just
'Cause
because
it's
he
more
wants to do what
exciting.
I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, so and hold me down. I'm going with Tampa.
What are you, 3 games back, John, of me?
8 games back of you.
8 games, okay.
All right, let's flip the old coin here. And it comes up tails, which means the away team.
That means
So-
you and the coin for a change.
Yep. So Harry and I are locked up on 1, 2, 3.
No, 2.
Oh, 2.
1,
Sorry,
2,
2.
yeah.
And you and Harry are locked up on 2.
Mm-hmm.
So Pete,
You and I are locked up on-
you took Miami.
No, I'm taking New England.
Okay, so we're locked up on that one.
You're locked,
We're
you
locked
two
up
are
on-
locked up on the Patriots and the Giants. Me and Harry are locked up on the Bucks and the Giants, and then me and Pete
John,
are
you and I are locked up on Green Bay.
Green Bay, Seahawks, and Commanders.
So Pete took Seattle, yep, and Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we got some differences there, Mr. Lug Nutz.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's either going to
There we
be
go.
done or
I have
There
a
you
little bit of movement here, and I'll
There you
figure out how to. I'll figure out how to steal a game from you one way or the other.
That's right. If I gain 3 games, I'll be down by 2.
That's right. That's what happens when you put me in charge of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you have it.
And we still have what? How many weeks? Two weeks. And
This week and another week of all the games.
That's it.
No, but then we're gonna have.
how many playoff games are
We
there?
don't do the
6.
playoffs.
Yeah, we do.
The playoffs.
Yeah,
Oh,
all the way to the
yeah,
Super
yeah.
Bowl.
Oh, then you got chance.
Plenty of time.
You could win this. I thought we only went through the regular
see,
season.
John, I
Okay.
think your strategy here is to catch up to Harry first,
Mhm.
and probably after this week he'll be at least he and I will at least be tied if he's not ahead by 1. 1, 2. We have 4 games difference. He could be ahead by 2. at
Or
the
I
end
could
of
be
this
down
week.
by 8.
We're gonna have 6 games. Well, you have 6 games next week. We're gonna have 6 games the following week, which is Wild Card Weekend, and then we're gonna have 4 games, and
2 games,
2
1
games.
game, and then finally no more shenanigans.
4 games, 2 games, 1 game. Yeah, that's it. There you go.
It's the way it still works.
We'll end up in a
The two Super Bowls are going to be great.
We'll end
This
up
year,
in
the fact that they're having two
three-way
Super Bowls. There's a wild card team.
It's
where
the consolation Super Bowl.
the two worst teams in the league play each other to see if they can play in the play-in game for the Super Bowl.
No, the two worst teams
That's right.
play each other. Whoever loses that gets kicked down into the college
right.
ring.
They have to have Derek Carr and Zach Wilson be their
Exactly.
quarterback.
Exactly. All right.
All right, so there we go.
And there you have
Oh
it.
boy, listen. The three of us could end up tied and all lose to the coin.
Could you imagine?
That'd be great.
That'd be interesting.
Look, we're picking tough games this year, and there's a lot of upsets this year in football. Not upsets, but there's a lot of parity.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there's.
you know.
I mean, we're in week 16, and there's still how many teams? 8 or 10 teams that are under 500,
Mhm.
and yet they're all still
And
kind
some of them are still
available.
available.
Yeah, like half of them are still in contention. So
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, the NFC, the AFC East is other than the Bills is 8-7 or 7-8. Okay, you got the West is really two teams, although the Raiders are still miraculously still in it with 3 games under 500. You know, the North again is Cincinnati, and by the way, guys, the Ravens are 10-5, and they're hot. They got 1 win. And Cleveland, I think, is still not mathematically out of it.
All right.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah, this is a crazy.
There's not one team in the NFC East under 500.
Nope. There's not. All right. Is it time for Are They For Real?
I think it is.
All right.
I'm just waiting for
What is
the
real?
week when you just show
How
us
do you
pictures of
define
people with
real? If you're talking
You have
about
to-
what you can feel,
to guess whether or not they are actually real.
and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Heat miser real.
None of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real.
I mean, we could just play this and the sauce tape.
For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
What is real?
What is real?
What is real?
What?
All right, let's.
is it?
Since we're talking about football, and we may have to start doing this segment before we do our picks, because all these questions have been answered. But they're playing this week. As we've said, the Packers have won 3 in a row, albeit against lousy teams. But they've got a shot at the playoffs. I think they were in this segment previously. Are they for real as far as are they this bad? But they are playing the Minnesota Vikings. So a little bit of a twist here. Who's more for real? The Packers or the Vikings?
We'll know in a couple days.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, honestly,
That's not the answer I was looking for, Eric.
I don't think the Packers are for real. I
don't either. I think the Vikings are more for real.
Yeah.
The Vikings are more for real.
I don't think they're either of them are for real, but I think the Vikings
there you go.
are more
That's
for real.
having said that, I could easily in today's NFL, I could easily see Green Bay somehow winning, but neither.
Well, they'd have to.
Yeah,
They'd have
Today's
to win.
NFL, and and this isn't much of a stretch. In today's NFL, I can see the Giants winning the Super Bowl this year.
Well,
No. It's not going to happen,
You
but
got to get off the pipe, man.
yeah, it's a couple teams in the AFC that are for real. Yeah, I think Minnesota is having one of those years. They seem to win games consistently, and if your litmus test is just win, then they have more consistently done that than any other team.
I think I saw the other day they're like 6-1 or 7-1 or something in winning one score game. So
Absolutely.
keep it close.
They came down. Granted, it was against in Indianapolis. They came back from being down 33-0.
Yeah. And eventually, that was a one-score game.
And of course, it was.
And they ended up winning.
and they win it. Yeah.
So, all right, sticking with football, we talked about them, and again, we've sort of explored to probably much more depth than it deserved, their quarterback. But Vegas, can they get into the playoffs? Now, I don't know if that would make them for real, but given their start and given what we've seen from them, are they real enough to get in? Harry says no.
I'm going to say no.
Oh, by the way,
can they get in? Yes, there's a way that they can get in.
By the way, who is their quarterback?
I don't know.
Stidham.
Right, we talked about their ex-quarterback, I guess. So the answer is no. And I agree with you about Minnesota, by the way. I didn't mention that. I think they're a little bit more for real than the Pack.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Along those lines, let's talk a little bit of basketball. And we will, let me pull up the standings here, which are somewhere. Well, anyway. Yeah, I had him. Well, anyway, the Nets have won 10 in a row, and the
Celtics
Celtics
you have much in the newspaper? Don't you have them somewhere?
Hold on.
And the Celtics are still 2 games ahead of them. So who's more for real? The Celtics or the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, they're both for real. I think yeah.
They're 2 of the top 5 teams in basketball. Maybe the top 3 teams in basketball. I think you throw the Bucks in there, and and New Orleans and Memphis, and I'm not as sold on the Nuggets yet, but they continue to win games. Look, Brooklyn is for real, and so is Boston. Boston made it to the NBA Finals last year. The Brooklyn Nets were a toenail away from going to the NBA Finals, and they have arguably the best player in basketball. They've won 10 in a row, and none of them were against the Miami Dolphins without Tua, the Chicago Bears.
They might actually be able to beat the Bears.
Yeah, they're for real. Both of them are for real.
Both of them, but who's more for real?
I'm going to make a bold prediction that I think the Brooklyn Nets win the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference.
I right in step with what he's saying. They're both for real. They're both very for real. They're almost as for real as each other. If I had to pick one right now over the other, it would be Brooklyn right now.
I'm going to say it's still early and there's plenty of time for the Nets to implode. So,
right.
Boston maybe is not more for real, but they're more durable. So I'll say that.
They definitely have more depth and more diversity in how they can win games, without a doubt.
And a lot less crazy.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but he hasn't been crazy, right? The crazy
like I said, it's still early.
Well, now you do have the 76ers in their division, so the crazy is all in the Atlantic Division, okay? Because
it's the 95 corner crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Sixers are 20-13 and have won 8 out of 10, and yet James Harden is talking about going back to the Rockets. So yeah, the crazy is concentrated very much in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
All right, let's switch to hockey. And let me pull up the standings here. And there's a team that hasn't won 10 in a row, but they've won 9 in a row. And they have vaulted past, now by a total of 6 points, the New Jersey Devils, who are 2-9-1 in their last 10. So the Carolina Avalanche, what's their team name? Hurricanes. The Carolina Panthers. Are they for real in the National Hockey League?
They are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think all of those teams are. And then look, Toronto's right there too. 7-2-1 in their last 10. That the Eastern Conference is just always, there's always going to be 3 or 4 teams that are just going to constantly, bump other teams down. Yeah, the Devils are on a little bit of a losing streak. The Rangers are 8-2 in their last 10, and they're still, in eighth place. In eighth place, yeah. And oh, by the way, the Capitals are doing it, and they're having a pretty historic season with the fact that they now have the person who is in second place all time in goals scored in the history of the NHL. So, yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be something if the Capitals could do something in the playoffs this year? It seems only fitting.
Not as a Rangers fan, I don't want to see that, but I see what you're saying. So.
Yeah. I don't know. They got their cup. That's enough.
That's enough, right?
Let them go another 30 years. Exactly. All right. So, again, we'll take a little bit of a different tack here. We've got the college football playoffs coming up starting this weekend, right? And I will just say this.
I feel like there's been college football games on they're 4 at a time for every
You know what I heard
moment
on-
of the day.
You know what I heard on the radio today? I think it was, I don't remember who was playing. It was like, maybe it was Syracuse or something. I heard Chris Carlin doing play-by-play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris Carlin.
Syracuse was playing today.
Yeah, I think that was that game.
The only thing more surprising would have been if it was George Carlin doing it.
Yeah. And I like Chris Carlin a lot. I love him on the radio, but it was just so weird to. Anyway, so
Syracuse lost, by the way, I think.
yeah, good, go Orangemen. I just will say this: the one thing I miss about the old system of choosing the national champion, where the idiots with the pens and the pencils made the choices and all that, right? And you either went, yes, I got it right, or oh, what a fucking rip. You got to watch on January 1st when everyone was off and hungover, maybe even by 6 o'clock at night from staying up for New Year's Eve. You got to watch the national champion win the game. Somebody was going to win and they were going to be the national champion.
Right.
I miss that because now we have playoffs this weekend and then the championship game on the 9th on a Monday night. It just seems wrong to me.
It's wrong. It should be on the 1st. You're right.
Yeah.
I agree.
And like, could you not? When was the last regular season game played in the college ranks? A couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, like couldn't you have had it's 14 playoff? Couldn't you have had the semis last weekend and then the championship game
What they've
weekend?
real,
And
but
have the
could they have?
championship game?
Yeah.
same
They
thing with the
could
other.
have.
Do we need a 19th season a game in the NFL? No. It's what it is that they know they're going to have that New Year's Day audience, which the New Year's Day audience was always sort of spread out.
But they're not playing on New Year's Day.
There was a lot
They're
going.
playing on New Year's Eve.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is they have that weekend's audience. Then they realize, okay, if we put it on the week after on a Monday night, much like the NBA or the NCAA men's basketball tournament, that it's one of the most highest. It's one of the most highly watched football games of the year.
Yeah,
So-
I know, but I mean, you got to be a nut job to watch football. Well, I guess it'll be over by midnight if it starts at 8 o'clock on December 31st. But still, oof.
Georgia or Michigan?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I think we should pick who's the most real. Let's pick a winner out of the 4 teams that remain, rather than pick all the games individually.
Explain to us how these 4 teams, what their last games, how this is going to work out.
So Michigan is playing TCU, number 2 versus number 3. That is 4 o'clock on Saturday. And number 1, Georgia plays number 4, Ohio State. That is 8 o'clock on Saturday. National championship game, Monday, January 9th, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. So I think let's pick a winner.
Okay.
From those 4 teams. Who's the most real, i.e., who do we think is going to win? You're going to go chalk and take Georgia? You think maybe this is Michigan's year? Ohio State, who hasn't won for who knows when. I think 2013, 14, somewhere around there.
1832.
1832.
No,
or TCU. There was some debate. Do they even belong in it? Although not a lot, I guess.
They're 12
I
and
don't.
1.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really follow college football. Somebody was saying.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Johnny's going to go out on a limb.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Georgia.
And pick Georgia.
All right, John likes Georgia.
I'm going to go out on that same limb.
Both going out.
And say the Bulldogs win. And look, it's
All
just
right.
based on the fact that they've beaten the best competition this year.
I think you're
And
right.
it hasn't really been close.
No.
I mean, the Alabama game was, but I mean,
No, it's because it was the Alabama game.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime Alabama loses is good. All right. Well, I'm going to be contrarian, of course. And
You're
I'm
going to go
take
the old
Michigan.
school way.
Old school.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to.
I'm just going to pick a champion that's not even in those top 14.
Florida.
Whoever number 5 is. Whoever
Oregon
number 5
State.
is.
Oregon State.
Yeah, number 5. That's my pick. I'm going to pick, and I hate them too. Michigan.
All right.
I think Michigan's going to win it.
Look, here's the one thing that I think plays out in Michigan's favor. TCU is a good team. I think Michigan matches up really well against them and should beat them, I think, pretty handily. I think Georgia, Ohio State's a tougher matchup.
Georgia, Ohio State is a tougher matchup than Michigan, TCU, absolutely.
And so
But Georgia's they're going to have their hands full, but they're going to win.
they're going to have to prove that they're the number 1 team. Whereas Michigan, I don't disagree with you. I think if you're looking at who's got the easier path, it's Michigan. That's just my take. But we'll see.
But they still have to beat.
They still have to beat Georgia. If
Best
Georgia,
team in the country, and Georgia, yeah.
Put it this way: I think Michigan matches up against Ohio. I think they match up well against TCU. I think they could beat Ohio State. Should somehow
more familiarity there, you know?
Should Ohio State upset Georgia, then I think yes, it's Michigan's got a clear path.
All right.
Cool.
And that's it for Are They For Real?
All right.
Clocking in at a good 12 and a half
I was
minutes.
going to say we're going to have to extend that a little bit there.
I thought that, well, it was a little bit of a...
Hey, how about Kansas State, though? Number 9. When was the last time you saw Kansas State this high?
That's true.
In the rankings, right?
That is definitely true.
All right, I'm changing. I think they're going to win.
Gotta love it. All right. Let's never threw the baseball background up, but let's throw the basketball background up. There's for a couple minutes. We kind of already talked about basketball, but there's no way I could let tonight's show go by, since we did it a day later this week, without rehashing Tuesday night. What the hell happened?
The Knicks are back, baby.
They were up by 9 points with 33 friggin' seconds left.
Yes,
you don't lose that game.
I watched it. However,
you don't lose that game.
I sat there thinking, all right, can I turn this off and go do something else in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, no, I can't. There's just the Knicks, because I knew what they were going to do. They're going to start fouling the Knicks, and the Knicks offense was going to shut down because they were out without RJ Barrett. They were without Brunson. And look, Julius Randle had a great game. Some of the other backups on the Knicks had a good game, but they just could not execute down the end. And then all of a sudden, every little bounce, it was just one of those nights for Luka where my gut told me
60 points.
This guy's going to score 60. There's no way he's going to lose. There's no way he's going to lose with a 60-point triple-double. And sure as shit, he didn't. And look, hats off to Luka. He's a phenomenal player. But this is where the Knicks are. The Knicks beat the teams they are supposed to beat and never beat the teams that they are not supposed to. Now, I'm not saying
they
that they
should have won that game.
They're even with Dallas. I think they're both, but the difference is Dallas has a superstar, and that superstar came up and said, I'm going to win this single-handedly. The Knicks don't have that guy. So
Jalen
I was more amused.
No, I was going to say the same thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say that.
I was more.
No, you're not going to go there.
Yeah, if Jalen Brunson played, of course, it's all over. I was more amused by this game than upset about it. This is where I'm at with the Knicks now. It's kind of like, yeah, of course they lost. Of course they lost.
Well, listen, you're starting to understand what it is to be like a Jets fan.
Well, being a Knicks fan, trust. Look, the issue
you've had more years of experience than you should have. That's for certain.
The difference many years ago with being a Knicks fan is that the Knicks were this close to winning a championship and never getting there. Now it's sort of like, all right, pull the oars in the boat, float on. You know, it's like, oh yeah, we're way better this year. We re-signed RJ Barrett and got Jalen Brunson. Sure. There you go. Maybe we'll have another first round playoff exit.
What I just did there was the global feeling on Tuesday night. Anyway, but that aside, yeah, the Nets are coming on. I mean, you know, and hey, the Nuggets are tied for first in the West. So
the Nuggets lost a game they shouldn't have lost last night, and that's what. The Nuggets do not have the depth to hold on to this. Jokic is playing lights out. At times, when he's there, Michael Porter Jr. looks okay. Aaron Gordon. The Nuggets had to rest everybody. They've got some injuries. Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray. He's not the difference maker that this Nuggets team needs. However, having said that, what they're doing is, I think, pretty damn impressive. Now, the other team that I said was going to be at the top is there, and they still don't have their second best player, or maybe even some would say their first best player playing for them. I think New Orleans and Memphis are at the end of the day, a little bit more versatile than the Nuggets. The Nuggets really have to rely on the streaky shooting of Porter and Murray to win. And the other thing is that they are both horrific defensive players.
Right.
They are just really bad. So while the Nuggets record looks good, the Nuggets are giving up a lot of points, and they let teams back in the game. And when Jokic goes out to catch his breath for 5 minutes, it's over. Mm-hmm. So I have hope for them, but I really would like to see them make a move for a player. I really would.
Only thing I'll say about the Pelicans is careful what you wish for, because sometimes that you have when you're winning. Like, remember, Durant was hurt, right? Grizzlies were lights out in the playoffs, and then he came back, and it was a little bit different, right?
Right.
No one's going to say, well, yeah, Ja Morant was the reason they didn't win the NBA championship last year or anything like that. But sometimes you have to readjust. And but I agree with you. The Pelicans are a very good team, and they will be better without when they get what's his name, Bradford back. It's not Bradford. What's his name?
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, when they get Zach Wilson back.
Mike White.
But there might be a little time where they have to adjust, right?
I agree with that. However, what it does is it diversifies their scoring. Look, they've got Zion, and we all know about Zion. But look at Valanciunas. Look at they got CJ McCollum as possibly a third option in the playoffs. Larry Nance Jr. is a great defensive player that they have. They have a very well balanced team, and I just they're young and they don't look. Will Ingram become a problem? I don't think so. I think that he's the kind of player that can fit in. He fit in when he was on the Lakers, and left and became, a guy who was, before he got hurt was averaging 20, 25 and 5. So they're going to have three options on the offensive end. They're going to have a post presence. They're going to have a wing player in Ingram and a good shooter in McCollum. They all play defense pretty well. I think New Orleans they might need another year, but they are maybe the most balanced team in the West, only because I feel like other teams are not as deep as New Orleans is.
Right. On that note, back to the Knicks really quick. Minute 57 left to go in the third quarter. They're losing by 16 to the Spurs.
Yeah, look, the Knicks are back.
Mm-hmm. Spurs are making a surge. They're ready to go.
The Spurs are also a team that, not great, but somewhat unpredictable in how they play. They're not horrible.
They're one game ahead of the Rockets for last place in the West.
I know, but they're not as horrible as they should be. Let me put it that way. They win games they're not supposed to. Look, and that's my point. Look, the other team that I thought was going to make a dent in the East was Cleveland, and they kind of are. But look out for Indianapolis. Look out for Indianapolis as the season goes on. I know they're not blowing anybody's doors up right now, but I think the Indiana could squeak into the playoffs. I really do.
Well, Reggie Miller's starting again. So.
Well, Rick Schmitz. Yeah.
There you go. So anyway, all right, and a little bit of hockey. Well, we already mentioned it before in the. That's why Are They For Real took so long. We actually did most of basketball and hockey during Are They For Real.
Yeah, it's like, do we talk about the league first? And then Are They For Real? We've already answered those questions.
Yeah. Hockey.
Games played. Teams played games. Although the Winter Classic is next Monday.
The one in
that's the Charlestown Chiefs
Canada or something.
Charleston Chiefs against the Edmonton Rough Riders.
Right. No, it's the Bruins are playing the Penguins.
It's Syracuse and Charleston.
In Fenway. They're actually the game's in Fenway. Going going to be up there. Not going to the game. I actually looked just to see for shits and giggles. Cheapest seats to be gotten right now are over $300 a piece. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm all right.
The over-under on guys named O'Neill or Cunningham getting arrested for drunken and disorderly conduct is 187.
Well, I'll make sure
over-under.
I'll make sure I go do some research while I'm up there next week, and I'll definitely have to report back the following week or the following show next week. Anyway, but yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go. Hockey background. Just kidding. All right. Anything else? Are we good?
Well, if we're good, I don't want to bring things down, but I just saw this actually came across the wire an hour and a half ago.
Probably should mention that.
Pele?
Yeah, Pele. Yeah, I didn't. 82 years old, passing away. He had colon cancer and a respiratory infection and went to the hospital in November and never quite made it out. I know soccer is what it is in this country, but
Pele's Pele, though. That's a different story. This is a different.
Well,
level.
I'll say this: it is even the small potatoes that it is right now, in large part because of Pele.
Sure.
It wouldn't even be as popular as it was because there would be people like me who probably wouldn't have been soccer fans at all if it wasn't for Pele and coming to the Cosmos and learning about him. And he's the sport's got a lot of great players and all that, but he's the king. He is the undisputed.
He is the king, and he brought with him other good European players into whatever league the Cosmos were in. I don't know what it was called back then. But and he won a championship in that league with the Cosmos, right?
Cosmos won. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, this
North American Soccer League, and the Cosmos won in '77, and then he retired.
We talk about people like Tom Brady and not retiring,
and made a movie with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, God, yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
and Michael Caine. Michael Caine was in it too.
That's right. So you cannot watch that film without subtitles, no matter what language you speak.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember the name of it?
No, I don't care.
Victory.
There you go. Fantastic. What I was going to say is that you have guys like Tom Brady. We talk about him playing well into his 40s. You got guys like Gordie Howe. Who Pele was a lot like Gordie Howe in that he contemplated retiring in like 69 or something like that, and then sort of kept playing. Came back for another year. Won another World Cup with Brazil. We don't, I think, in the United States have a great understanding of just how much the World Cup means, but he won 3 World Cups in a row and has the record for most World Cup wins as a player. I think he still does. So he came to MLS, whatever it was.
Major League Soccer.
It was NASL.
North American Soccer League. Yeah, that's
American Soccer League.
I mean, I don't know how old he was, but it seemed like they were really dragging him back out onto the soccer field, onto the pitch.
He was in his mid-30s.
Yeah. So, I mean, he wasn't that old, but it seemed like it. Only because I think he considered retiring very early on in his career.
And he was born in 1940.
Yeah.
And so 77, they won the championship.
Was it that early? Okay.
Yeah. That's 37, and that's after.
I thought it was into the 80s, but I guess it wasn't.
No, it was 77. It was in the 70s. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that
remember going to
8 or 9 years old, and you're, I remember that because it's
it
seemed like I was older.
Went to a couple of Cosmos games
in 83 or 84.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, he did bring European players to the States, and it was made it viable for them to play there.
Yeah, went to a couple of Cosmos games, and always remember too if you went to the Giant games at Giant Stadium during that time that the Cosmos were there as well. The lining, the chalk outlining for the soccer field was a little narrower, a little wider than the actual football field. It was still there, and you could actually see it. It ran underneath, So it was.
Yeah,
we used to drive down from New Paltz and go to the games all the time.
I think they gave tickets away. I remember they must have.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember going to a Cosmo game once and going, and then being asked again if I would like to go to another one. And I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think it was.
And I was 8 or 9.
I'd say this about soccer. It's number one. I think it's a couple things. It should have been a sport that took off, right? It's easy to play.
It's the most popular sport in the world.
Right. But I'm saying here in America, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't take tons of equipment, right? You don't need pads and a helmet and a stick and all that. You need a ball and
shin guards.
Right. And, but it didn't. And there was probably some Americanism that kept it from getting bigger, right? It's not our game, but
Right.
lacrosse wasn't our game, or hockey wasn't our game, but, now it's been sort of adopted. But soccer just never was.
Well,
and also the thing about soccer, though,
a distant 4th or 5th in
right. That's what I mean. But it's But the thing about soccer is, and I think
watch out for
this is
pickleball.
what it was. If you've marginally ever, like, maybe not kids today because no one goes outside anymore, but we all at the very least,
played it.
Went and played or threw the football around or threw a baseball around, right? We had an idea of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't play soccer, you couldn't do that.
Right.
You couldn't go to a soccer game and kick the ball around, kick the ball around, because you'd kick it into a car or you'd kick it over there. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
It was around me my whole life. I just never
but it wasn't as simple as I can do this anyway, right?
No,
and I think that kept a lot of people from really
half the people that I went to grammar school and high school with, where John and I especially grew up, huge, especially at the time, a huge soccer community. I mean, it was just
big,
enormous. I mean, like I think I mentioned before, in 92 or whatever it was, there were 3 guys from Kearney, New Jersey on the U.S. soccer team.
Right.
So it's huge. We got better choices. It's a number one sport. It's the number one sport in the world because I don't know. They don't have a lot of choices.
Well, that's right. That's the thing. A lot of places don't have the facilities and the equipment.
Exactly.
And of course the other reason is there just wasn't a lot of money in the pro game.
Right.
I mean, sure, some of the European players are making money, but it wasn't the same kind. It wasn't, baseball money, which was really still the number one sport at the time, back then. So there wasn't the same incentive, right, for a young kid to become a professional soccer player. You really had to love the game. So.
And I will say this, it's really hard to be a top soccer player. Mm-hmm. I think it's harder to be an elite soccer player than it is to be, to get to college and play baseball or to maybe get into a AA football. It's harder to play that game longer into your late teens and early 20s on any sort of competitive level than some other sports. I don't know why that is, but it just seems like soccer is one of those games where it's not as specialized. You can't be a DH or a first baseman. Yes, there's positions, but the skill set is more universal. Even in basketball, you can be, if you have a certain size or you have a certain skill set of being able to pass the ball, you can fit into a system a little bit more. Mm-hmm. There's obviously goalies in soccer and things like that, but the skill set and the athleticism for soccer is pretty damn high. Right. And I'm not saying it isn't in other sports, but it just seems like a really hard sport to play.
It's a lot more endurance. It never stops. And every other sport stops.
Right. You're out there for 45 minutes, and then you get 15, and then you get 15. And like you were saying, Harry, you can be a really good basketball player, but maybe your dribbling is just marginal, right? If you're a big man, especially, or vice versa. If you got great handles and you're a great passer,
or you refuse, you can be a professional basketball player at the highest level and refuse to shoot the ball.
Right. You can't do that in soccer. You can't hide. You can't not be able to control the ball, and
you get exposed. You get exposed a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And Pele was, I mean, look, he was a human highlight film. I personally, there's been obviously some great players since Pele. I mean, if you look at some of the top soccer players, arguably there's people who have even been, are even more talented than him. But there was something about his skill set, his showmanship, and his personality that he was Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan. I mean, doing things that you had never seen before on a soccer pitch, it was the equivalent to what you then, a few years later, saw somebody like Michael Jordan or Dr. J before that doing on a basketball court. You just never saw it before.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if, I mean, there are Messi fans who don't like Ronaldo. There are Ronaldo fans who don't like Messi. There are Neymar. Yes, there were teams that Brazil beat that maybe their fans didn't like.
Italy,
right? Yeah. Right. It was but there was no real individual animosity towards Pele. There were no real anti-Pele guys just because he's not my guy. You had to respect.
Well, it's a good analogy that Harry said to Jordan. I mean, yeah, there were people obviously that not necessarily didn't love Michael Jordan, but it was more of the Bulls thing. If you're a fan of the Knicks or whatever else, right? But you respected Michael Jordan. And Michael, he was the same thing for Pele.
Right.
Yeah, but there are people that hated Michael Jordan too.
Right, but I mean,
yeah, but still on a sport level.
But yes,
what the man was about and everything else.
The first thing was respect.
Right. Yeah.
I respect him, but I hate him.
And you look at somebody like Ronaldo and Messi, and
I respectfully hate him.
You look at Ronaldo, you look at Messi. I'm guessing that those are probably the two names that are up there. Diego Maradona.
Right, those are the modern guys. I mean,
they're more modern. But there would be none of them.
Older Ronaldo and Maradona.
There would be none of them without Pele.
Yeah.
And look, people like Franz Beckenbauer, who was also a great soccer player. He came over to the whatever league it was with Pele. Giorgio
Canaglia,
the top Italian guy came over. So it brought a lot of international talent for a short period of time to the United States, but there just wasn't. But it changed professional soccer so that these guys now can benefit from it quite a bit more than Pele ever was. Pele's not known for his professional career. He's known for leading Brazil to
World Cups.
World Cups. Which all of that is now flipped on its head, kind of, Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're good for the show. What do you think?
I think so.
I think we're good.
Yeah, right. All right. On that note, we'll wrap up for today. On that note, we want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwiththepodcast.com. That's getonwiththepodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Locker Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night. This week was an exception. Every Wednesday night, normally around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve on Saturday, whatever you're going to do, whether you're going out, whether you're in a house party, whether you're going to be in, whether you're just relaxing at home, whatever you're doing, whatever your choice is to do on Saturday, make it a safe one and have a happy and healthy and safe new year. And we will talk to you next year, folks, which I'm at next week. Take care. Cheers.
Quick note about Pele with Santos, of course, his professional team where he started playing when he was 15, 638 appearances, 619 goals.
And they think he maybe even had more goals because they didn't keep records.
Yeah, I love it.
So
he played in
at
all these
least
professional
619.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's yeah.
insane.
His
insane.
points per game average is higher than Ben Simmons.
Anyway, all right, folks.
All right.
Take care. Happy New Year, folks.
Long live
Happy
Pele.
New Year, everybody.
Cheers. Yes.